not believing this, okay. I'm sure you're not even like, what am I doing here? Has it come to this?
Look, in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
No, it's SUPERHOST.
Give me that shoe. Meek, mild-mannered director trainee Henry Bookerstein becomes SUPERHOST. And with powers far beyond those of ordinary men, SUPERHOST brings you Saturday afternoon. And now, Soup's on.
Hey everybody, Grim Gory here with Janet Decay, and we are here with a television legend. Yes, it's the one, the only, Marty Sullivan, also known as SUPERHOST. Hey, how you doing, Marty?
Just fine. How are you?
Oh, well, just dandy now. I still can't believe we're sitting here with the TV legend. We're just kind of here, and I'll hang out with you and ask you a few questions about your life and times as SUPERHOST on WUAB 43. And I think we're going to start with Janet. Do you want to say anything, Janet, or
Yeah. So we were watching some older clips, and it looks like it was first called the SUPERHOST Show. So when did it go from the SUPERHOST Show to Saturday Mad Theater?
Well, it was original thing was Saturday Mad Theater, and then they changed to SUPERHOST when I started to get some ratings.
Did you come up with the name Mad Theater, the title for that?
No, that was our program director, one of the geniuses in the front office.
Now, did you want to tell us a little bit about the show? I know you've done this like a million times, but just for those who don't know, to give your little spiel on, a little brief history of it?
Well, sure. It started off when they were recording a dance show, a teenage dance show, something like Dick Clark. But anyway, they were doing that, and I was floor directing. I was out on the floor with a headset on talking to the director, doing whatever he told me to do. And they were adjusting the lights on a set where the four lads are going to sing standing on the corner. So they had a corner set. And they weren't there, of course, so I had to stand in while they adjusted the lighting. And the director inside thought it would be funny if he screamed at me that my fly was open. So I was trying to cover up and change, do whatever was necessary there.
Right.
And I must have looked terribly disconcerted and silly. And the program manager was sitting in the control room, and when it was all over, he said, come up with an idea for a movie host, and we'll put you on the air if we like what you do.
Very interesting. And where did you come up with the voice for SUPERHOST? Or where was that from?
That goes back to my announcing career in Detroit. I worked for WJR in Detroit, and there was a man locally by the name of Ralph Bingay, who went back to the old days of radio at CKLW in Windsor, and he had the ability to produce these voices and carry on conversations with them. It was like there's a whole group of people in there. It was just Ralph, and one of his voices was, "Hello there." And that's the voice I stole for Soup.
That is incredible. Yeah, I've always wondered about that. Yeah. Do you have another question, Janet?
Well, we hear a lot of people in Northeast Ohio that talk like that. So we always wondered what inspired you to do that voice.
Their underwear is too tight, I suppose.
That's the secret. Okay.
And, what was it like working with Larry Tressler on WUAB? He's a fan of our show, and he follows us on Facebook. And he said he used to work with you.
He did. He was the audio man on the pilot and other subsequent things. For some reason, I was always hanging nicknames on people, and he was Lumpy Larry. I don't know why, but Lumpy Larry, and he isn't lumpy at all. But that's what I called him, and that's how I knew Larry.
Aw.
So we got the origin of the SUPERHOST voice. Now, do you have any, like Big Chuck Shadowski, as you know, is Big Chuck from Big Chuck and Little John show. He has named that some of his comedic influence were like Ernie Kovacs and Stan Freberg. Do you have any early comedic influences?
All the old comedians that went from vaudeville to television in the early days of television, Red Buttons and Red Fox and Maury Amsterdam and all the early comedians who brought their acts over to television from vaudeville, and that's where I picked up most of my comedic sense, if I have any.
Oh, yes, you did. Of course you did.
I had great audience. Kids drew pictures, especially Bob Ferguson drew pictures. They were all
Who's that?
They were all clean too.
Yes, him and Colonel Klink.
Yes.
Jim Klink.
Yes. But yes.
Yes, he was a great contributor for that.
Yeah, he was a great fan, and he would visit us at the Cinema Wasteland and the local conventions around here.
Well, that's kind of what brought the show's ratings up. When we first started, the kids would send me crayon drawings to the station, and we put them up on a big board and just panned across them during the course of the show. And all the kids, of course, tuned in to see their picture on TV. And that kind of the ratings, and thank God it worked.
And were there any attempts by other stations to lure you away from WUAB? Did you ever get any offers from other networks?
No, darn it.
No?
I tried, but I didn't. I went out to Hollywood once and talked to Ernie Anderson, Goulardi, about getting in out there, and he says, well, that's dumb. He says, you expect people out here to go to Cleveland to hire somebody? And he said, if you want to, if you want to work in California, move to California. Well, I couldn't, so I stayed here and did soup.
Well, you also did voiceover for WAB.
I did. I did the news at Channel 43 for years.
Wow.
And then they decided to put a news department in. They hired Dan Ackland as news director, about 30 people, and all to replace me and a teletype machine.
Whoa.
Yeah, but they weren't dressed for like Superhost from the waist down behind a desk in a sports coat.
That's true, but I did have to wipe the nose off.
Did you ever forget? Is there a story that you forgot once or twice? Or
No, I never forgot to wipe the nose off, but a lot of times it was this close getting on camera in time.
Yes, and again, we watched your Soup Bits DVD that you had out a while back, and noticed that the evolution of the character went from the nose was all red. I noticed it in the beginning, and then it kind of whittled down to a dot.
I didn't know how to apply it, really. It was because lipstick. How do you put lipstick on your nose? So I got a little heavy-handed with it, and then as I got more familiar with it, it became a work of art.
Yes, and there's also I also noticed there were like some sort of like dark marks under your eyes. Do you remember doing that as well?
Yeah, that was on the pilot show.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. I think the makeup artist, whoever, decided to put like I was playing football or something.
Now, you did a lot of skits and bits on your show as well as the hosting the segments in between. And were there any, you did bits like Convoy, you did a parody on that, all the funny records like Slim Whitman and Boxcar Willie, those were really funny. Was there ever a skit that you didn't get to do, or one that might have been banned by management?
No, we were allowed to do anything pretty much we liked. I did one bit with a new director came into the station, Mike Bachman, and we did a bit on the cod, the submarine down the thing.
That was parked at in the marina down there. Yes.
Right, and we went at this bit. We had all kinds of shooting time and great footage and all that stuff, but the bit just went. It died of morning.
So there is some lost footage out there then, maybe.
You bet.
Oh, wow. And who has that? Is that WAB? Might be sitting on that stuff in a vault?
I've got most of that at home, and it's going to stay home, too. And it deserves not to be shown.
I understand. Yeah, we have stuff like that, too. That should never see the light of day. Trust me.
So talking about the skits, did you write the material for all of your skits, or did you have other people help write with you?
It was a cooperative thing. The crew, the cameraman, the director, the audio man, everybody would chip in their 2 cents, and we'd throw that in the bit, too.
That's cool. So it was a collaborative thing.
Oh, it certainly was. That's a good word to describe
I've seen that. I grew up watching you in the 70s and 80s. I mean, it was an amazing time to be a kid in Cleveland, let me tell you, because you had Superhost on Saturday, and he was on for 4 hours, folks, okay? Saturday started at noon, went to 4 p.m., showed 2 monster movies.
2 monster
And before
movies?
that, like Three Stooges shorts, Laurel and Hardy, Leon Arrow, all kinds of interesting stuff. I mean, where did the format for the show come up? Who decided to do the hour of comedy and then the 2 movies?
Well, we were trying to fill 3 hours, so you had to put something in between the 2 movies to stretch it out.
Wow, that was a feat. I mean, but he did it. No problem. And then even after that, they would have some interesting movies like Godzilla movies or space movies. But so you'd have like Big Chuck and Little John or Houlihan and Big Chuck Friday nights, and then 8 all-night movies. They'd show monster movies. Then you wake up in the morning, get your bowl of cereal, watch cartoons, and then noon rolls around, and you got SuperHost all to the evening. You just never left your television when you were a kid growing up in Northeast Ohio. It's the truth.
Now, you've been interviewed many times, I'm sure. Are there any, is there a question that you would like to be asked? So is there anything you'd like to share with the fans out there that maybe you've never been asked before?
Yeah. Why did I come back to Cleveland at this age? It's a good question. Well, the main reason I came, well, 2 reasons. Number 1, I came back to thank all the fans in Cleveland who still send they want autographed pictures and just friends on Facebook and stuff like that. So that was one reason. The other is I have a book out, or in collaboration with Mike Olszewski. I have a book out. It's called From Captain Penny to Superhost.
Very cool.
I think the book is out, though. Mike said that it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but he said, go to your neighborhood bookstore and buy it. It's better for the small merchant.
And do you think there's a future for horror movie hosting? I know there's a lot of local networks that don't really do that anymore, but there are online outlets. We just wanted to see what your opinion was on that.
I think there is an awful lot of interest in the genre. Look at that, the way I pronounce that, just like a regular guest. Anyway, I think there's a great future for it, again, on the internet, on the social internet, on Facebook and Instagram and blogs and all those things. I think it's great, and I hope you are very successful at it.
Yeah, we're working on it. I mean, we've been doing the show for about 5 years now, and 2 years doing it live on Facebook. That's our shtick, is that we actually stream live for 2 hours, show our B movie, a public domain movie. We do our own bits and skits, pay a lot of homage to you and to Chuck and John, Houlihan, the Ghoul, everybody, Ghoulardi, anyone that we grew up watching. We sort of definitely give props, to all of you guys, because we're basically a product of what you did.
Right.
So you're responsible for this in some sort of way.
There are other people doing that too on various places.
Oh yes. So much influence you had, you and all the others on a bunch of. You warped a lot of minds growing up, and that's a good thing. Cleveland needs more warped. The world needs more warped minds. So, well, I think that's all the questions we have for you right now. Is there anything you want to say? Final words?
Well, just good luck to you two on your chosen career, and have fun with it.
We are, because you sure made it look that way, and that's why we're doing this. Well, from the bottom of our little hearts, we want to thank you, Marty Sullivan, so much, SuperHost, I should say, for granting us this interview, and we'll see you out there on the interwebs or whatever, right?
On Facebook, yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you around.